Another firearm regulation, another lawsuit, the latest targeting House Bill 218 that was signed on Saturday. Good morning, I'm Greg Bishop with Springfield's Morning News, 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. You can find me anywhere, just search Bishop on Air, be it Twitter, be it Facebook, be it YouTube, where you can see the video stream live every morning, 6 to 9. You can also check out all of the clips of other stories that we delve into, but a lot of what we've talked about is gun laws in the state of Illinois, and occasionally we look at what's going on elsewhere throughout the country. But yesterday we reviewed the signing of the Firearm Industry Responsibility Act, and this is a measure that passed in spring session, and it ultimately allows for lawsuits to be filed really by anybody to go after the firearms industry, be it the manufacturers, be it the sellers, and it could allow for lawsuits challenging whether or not they are making an unsafe environment or challenging how they advertise their constitutionally protected firearms, and saying that you can't advertise to kids with caricatures or cartoon characters. You can't advertise for what the law says is illegal paramilitary or militia activity. But now we have a lawsuit against this. So it was signed on Saturday, and a lawsuit was filed by the National Shooting Sports Foundation yesterday in federal court in the Southern District of Illinois. And that's where you had in the Southern District Federal Court, the judge, Stephen McGlynn, he sided with plaintiffs suing over the gun and magazine ban, where he issued that injunction that only lasted for 6 days. Now, will McGlynn get this case filed by NSSF? That's unknown at this point, but the lawsuit has been filed. And let's go ahead and take a look here at the lawsuit, which has been filed, and it's in the Southern District of Illinois, and it's got the docket already set up. But what the docket ultimately is, it's just a couple of things that really have been posted, showing that indeed it has been filed. So, looking at the docket for the Southern District, you've got yesterday the complaint filed and a notice of NSSF, and you've got the case ultimately 58 pages, and it goes through quite a bit here. But I just want to read to you some of the quotes that have been pulled, and it includes that the Firearms Industry Responsibility Act purports to prevent firearms from being used to endanger the public, but it does not regulate the use or misuse of firearms, nor does it impose liability on individuals who misuse firearms at the detriment of themselves or others. So we'll get to a little bit more of what the lawsuit says, but let's go back to what was talked about on Saturday with Kwame Raoul and Senate President Don Harmon. They were just some of the speakers during the bill signing ceremony, and here's what they had to say on Saturday when they discussed why they passed this measure, ultimately regulating the firearm industry by opening them up to potential lawsuits.
Now, I want to make sure, because, we've got folks in court cases who tend to use what I say. It is important to know that this law in no way targets those in the firearm industry who operate in a lawful manner. What this law does is clarify that the firearm industry, like any other business, must comply with the Consumer Fraud and Deceptive Practices Act. Simply put, don't participate in any unfair and deceptive practices that harm our children. The legislation establishes that the firearm industry members who knowingly violate the law and endanger the public when selling firearms, for example, by not taking already required steps to prevent sales to straw purchasers, are liable for those irresponsible practices. It prohibits marketing that reasonably appears to support unlawful paramilitary and unlawful private militia. And it reminds gun industry members that you cannot market to our kids.
On an almost daily basis, we see the horrific toll gun violence takes on our communities, and we wonder, who is going to do something about it? Well, I can answer that question. We are. We are doing something about it. Here in Illinois, at the crossroads of the nation, we are bringing responsible, common sense laws that balance constitutional rights with fundamental safety. And today we take another step forward to collectively say enough is enough. Someone has to push back on the mayhem that would place a higher value on guns than children and act like it's okay. It's not okay. We have an opportunity to show the nation what can be done and what should be done when rational people come together. It's my hope that others will join us in protecting our children, our neighbors, and our communities. And as a society, we long ago established that it is irresponsible, unsafe, and illegal to allow certain entities to target our children with their products. You see it with cigarettes, you see it with alcohol. This new law holds marketing to an audience that cannot legally purchase this product. It's common sense.
So again, that's Senate President Don Harmon. Before that was Attorney General Kwame Raoul speaking about the Firearm Industry Responsibility Act, House Bill 218, that the governor signed on Saturday. But Monday, you got the National Shooting Sports Foundation challenging First Amendment claims and also Second Amendment protections. The lawsuit says the First Amendment prohibits states from punishing wide swaths of truthful speech about lawful products, even if the products are dangerous or the speech is unpopular. The Second Amendment, the lawsuit says, protects commerce in arms. Numerous constitutional provisions prohibit states from regulating conduct that takes place wholly beyond their borders, even when that commerce has effects within the states. And due process clause prohibits states from punishing one private party for the conduct of another. And it also raises questions about expanding these lawsuit possibilities to those who are outside of Illinois. It says, what's more, because HB 218 creates liability even based on the behavior of third parties who are outside their control, firearm industry members can do very little to even attempt to lessen their potential liability. The only way to truly eliminate any risk of liability under HB 218 would be to cease operations altogether, even if those operations are lawful elsewhere. It goes on to say that this is the definition of unconstitutional discrimination against an unconstitutional undue burden, interstate commerce. And so you can see here some of the other issues that are raised, including what's already talked about, and we touched on this yesterday, the PLACA federal law. And Illinois is now trying to resurrect different types of lawsuits that PLACA was enacted to eliminate, and that is the Protect Lawful Commerce in Arms Act. And HB 218, the lawsuit says, from National Shooting Sports Foundation, therefore it falls squarely within the express preemption provision of PLACA. So again, the Protect Lawful Commerce in Arms Act prohibits all claims except 6 specific types. You could still sue a manufacturer if the barrel was not made properly and it blows up. So obviously this is a First Amendment, a Second Amendment, an interstate commerce issue, and you've got the National Shooting Sports Foundation filing this. And we'll be watching that. I've got it on my federal case tracker, along with all the other cases that we've been monitoring, including the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals, which we haven't seen any movement on that. I know people are asking what's going on with the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. We have yet to see movement on that decision, but obviously we'll be watching that closely, as a lot of people are anxiously anticipating whatever the outcome is going to be there out of the Seventh Circuit concerning the state's gun and magazine ban. But now we have this other lawsuit challenging a law that was enacted on Saturday, allowing for the state and others to go after not just Illinois manufacturers of firearms, but also out-of-state manufacturers of firearms. And how this thing's going to move forward, we shall see. A similar law in California was challenged, preliminary injunction being proposed there. They've got next month. They're going to be hearing about this, so we'll see what happens in the Southern District of Illinois federal courts, where the lawsuit filed really does, have some interesting arguments being made. But the docket, we'll be watching that closely as well, and maintain constant coverage of what's going on with this particular law here in the state of Illinois.